Can you believe it? I said, half to myself and half to the empty bar as I wiped down the counter. It was 10:37 p.m. on a crisp Saturday, and the neon lights of the downtown venue, the Velvet Lounge, flickered against the dark glass windows. I'd been working as the bartender there for nearly 2 years, and I thought I'd seen it all: rowdy crowds, drunken confessions, and the occasional secret rendezvous that left its mark on my memory. But nothing could have prepared me for that night. I'm Daniel Morales, a guy who's always prided himself on being a keen observer behind the bar, overhearing snippets of conversation, watching human emotions play out with every pour of a cocktail. I had a habit, almost as compulsive as checking my phone, of recording moments that felt important or revealing. Back when I was younger and dating someone named Megan, I even set up a hidden camera in the bar for quality control footage, something I rationalized as a way to remember the stories that made bartending interesting. I never expected that footage to change my life. That evening, as I set up my station, I noticed an unusual calm in the crowd. The regular chatter and laughter had a hushed, secretive air, as if everyone present was in on a mystery that I wasn't. Megan's name. Oh, how I wish I could say I was still bitter over our breakup, but that wasn't it. In fact, the whispers and furtive glances weren't directed toward me. They were directed at a VIP area in the back of the lounge where a few elegantly dressed guests had gathered. I'd been told nothing about any private event that night. "Working late, please," was the standard text I'd received from the manager if the bar was quiet, but tonight, something felt off. I started mixing drinks and chatting with patrons as usual. Amid the clinking of ice cubes and the murmur of distant conversations, I discreetly activated the hidden camera I'd installed behind the bar's mirror a few weeks earlier. It wasn't for nefarious reasons, I just liked to capture the raw moments of life, but this time, I had an intuition that something significant was unfolding. Around 11 p.m., a woman in an elegant, form-fitting dress, someone I immediately recognized from old, bittersweet memories, entered the bar. My heart skipped a beat. That was Lisa, my ex. I hadn't seen her since our breakup nearly a year ago. I remembered how we laughed together at the silly things in life, and how she once promised that we'd build a future side by side. But fate had other plans, and she eventually left, citing the need for change, for a new identity. I'd always been hurt, but I'd also grown. I'd learned to focus on my work, to channel my energy into building a career as a bartender who knew his craft, and even as I dabbled in a little mixology art. Yet seeing her now stirred a cocktail of emotions: longing, sadness, and an unexpected curiosity. She walked briskly toward the VIP area, her eyes fixed on a man in a sharp suit. I overheard snippets of conversation that made my stomach drop. They spoke of exchanging vows, wedding details, and celebrating our love. My mind reeled. Lisa was getting married. But here's the twist. No one in the bar had mentioned any wedding, and the event was being held in secrecy, right under my nose. Was this the wedding she had kept hidden from me all along? I remembered the long, often painful conversations we'd had. She'd hinted at wanting something different, something that wasn't me, always saying, "You're too sensitive," or "You're not as ambitious as I need you to be." I'd internalized those words for a long time, wondering if I wasn't enough. But tonight, as I watched her conversing warmly with that man, who introduced himself as James, I felt something shift. Perhaps she had found what she was looking for. Or perhaps she had devised a way to erase our shared past without confrontation. I couldn't be sure, but my instincts told me that this was more than just a wedding, it was a statement. Unable to shake off my curiosity, I reviewed the hidden camera footage during my break. I watched, heart pounding, as the camera captured Lisa laughing, her eyes sparkling with joy while speaking intimately with James and his family. In one particularly revealing clip, I saw her standing before an ornate archway decorated with fresh flowers, an unmistakable wedding setup. The realization hit me like a thunderbolt. She had hidden her wedding from me. I remembered all the times I had been left in the dark, all the unanswered texts and vague excuses. This was the confirmation I had always feared, and part of me, despite all the pain, felt vindicated. But the story was far from over. In the midst of my turmoil, I began to piece together the details. I listened again to the murmurs of the crowd, noting subtle cues from guests. Some whispered that the event was a private ceremony only for a select few, a rebirth of her new identity, far removed from the life we once shared. Others mentioned that James was not only her partner but the one who had supported her through difficult times, helping her transform into someone she claimed to have always wanted to be. The more I listened, the more I realized that Lisa had orchestrated this entire event in secrecy. The wedding had been planned meticulously, without a single word to me, even though I would have been a natural part of her life before. Torn between heartbreak and a strange sense of liberation, I decided to confront my feelings. I knew that I had a choice, to wallow in despair or to use this painful revelation as a stepping stone to redefine my life. I called my best friend, Aaron, someone who had seen me at my lowest and cheered me on when I was too broken to stand. Aaron, I said during one of our long, sob-filled calls, I just found out that Lisa, my ex, she got married. And get this, they hid it from me completely. I found it all on the hidden camera footage. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds before he finally spoke. Man, I'm so sorry. But if there's one thing I know about you, it's that you've got the strength to turn this pain into something powerful. You always did have that spark. Maybe it's time to let go of the past and channel this energy into yourself. His words, though simple, resonated with me deeply. That night, as I sat in my dark apartment listening to the rain tapping against the window, I realized that I had two choices: to be forever haunted by her betrayal or to use the pain to fuel my own growth. I decided on the latter. I pulled out an old journal, the one I'd kept during the long months after our breakup, and began to write. I poured out every thought, every tear, every moment of anger and disbelief. I wrote about the duality of love and loss, about the ways that betrayal can strip you down to your very core, and then rebuild you stronger, wiser. The next morning, with a trembling resolve, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront Lisa, not now, not directly. Instead, I would honor my own journey. I would take control of my narrative. I quit my job at the bar the next day and started a new venture, a business that combined my love for mixology with storytelling. I called it Liquid Narratives. The concept was simple yet ambitious: to create cocktails that told a story, each drink a blend of ingredients representing different aspects of life, heartbreak, resilience, joy, and transformation. I spent the next few weeks perfecting recipes, designing a sleek, modern pop-up bar, and even recording short video segments on my phone to document the inspiration behind each cocktail. I had always loved the idea that every drink was a story, and now I was determined to share those stories with the world. As fate would have it, Liquid Narratives quickly gained traction. I set up my pop-up bar in a trendy part of the city where people appreciated innovative, artisanal experiences. The blend of craft cocktails and live storytelling attracted a diverse crowd: young professionals, artists, even ex-couples seeking solace in shared conversations about life's unpredictable turns. My own story became intertwined with the brand, and soon, I found that my painful experience had created a unique niche. I was not just selling drinks, I was sharing a journey of transformation and hope. One evening, as I was hosting a special storytelling event at my pop-up, I introduced the cocktail named Hidden Truths, a bittersweet mix of pomegranate, smoky whiskey, and a hint of citrus. I said, "This drink is for anyone who's ever found out something that changed their life, when the truth, however painful, sets you free." The audience listened raptly, and I could see nods of recognition in their eyes. I later received emails from patrons saying that my words had helped them confront their own past betrayals, that my story gave them courage to move on. Over the next several months, Liquid Narratives blossomed. I began to get invitations to collaborate with local artists, to feature my cocktails at cultural events, and even to speak on podcasts about entrepreneurship and emotional resilience. My story, the story of how I found out about Lisa's hidden wedding and her secret life through my hidden camera, and how that betrayal forced me to reinvent myself, became an inspiration to so many. It was a modern fairy tale of heartbreak and redemption, not one of punishment, but of the power to rebuild one's life when everything seems lost. I even began receiving messages from people who had once been in my shoes. "Daniel, I found your story on social media. Your journey from heartbreak to creating something beautiful is the spark I needed to start my own business," one email read. Every message was a reminder that my pain had not been in vain. I had taken something deeply painful and turned it into a catalyst for creativity, for growth, for personal liberation. As time passed, I came to a realization that not every wound is meant to fester in bitterness. Sometimes, wounds can be the very source of your greatest strength. I learned to see Lisa's betrayal not just as a personal loss, but as a profound lesson. I learned that it's better to channel your emotions into creation rather than destruction, that the truth, no matter how hard, can set you free. One day, while I was preparing for another storytelling event, I looked at an old photo of Lisa that I had kept in a drawer, a reminder of a happier past that I no longer needed to cling to. I knew that her choices had led her down a different path, one that wasn't meant to be shared with me. I finally understood that true healing comes when you let go of the past and embrace your future. The hidden camera footage from that night became a bittersweet memento, not of betrayal, but of the moment I realized that I deserved more honesty, more passion, more life. Now, as I sit in my newly established liquid narratives pop-up during a quiet interlude between events, I reflect on how far I've come. Baxter might still be out there, barking joyfully at park visits, and my old bar days are far behind me, but the journey is what defines me. The experience of being ghosted, of discovering hidden truths that shattered my world, ultimately gave me the courage to rebuild my life on my own terms. I no longer allow the ghosts of my past to dictate my future. I share my story openly now, not to seek sympathy or to exact revenge, but to show others that even when the people you love and trust betray you, there is a way out. It might be through unexpected channels, a hidden camera, a GPS tag, or even a spark of inspiration in the darkest hour. But with resilience and determination, you can reclaim your life. So, if you ever find yourself wondering if hope can survive betrayal, I say this: let every heartbreak be a lesson, every painful truth a stepping stone, and every loss a chance to rebuild. For in the end, the story of your life is yours alone to write, and sometimes, the most unexpected twists create the most beautiful chapters. I was once left in the dark by a hidden wedding and secret messages, but I chose to shine a light on my own path, transforming pain into art, loss into an opportunity, and betrayal into the very fuel that ignited my new beginning. That is my truth. I was hurt, I was betrayed, yet I emerged stronger, more creative, and more determined than ever. And now, every time I mix a cocktail at Liquid Narratives, every time I share a story of transformation with a listener, I am reminded that the most profound victories come from the ashes of our deepest wounds. Let that be a lesson to you. Never let anyone's secrets or lies keep you from chasing the life you deserve. Embrace the truth, channel your pain, and create a future that is uniquely and beautifully your own.